Imagine this. You're standing in a crowded room, laughter ringing in your ears, glasses clinking, voices overlapping, yet beneath the surface something gnaws at you. A silent, suffocating weight. The more people surround you, the lonelier you feel. The more eyes meet yours, the more unseen you become. You smile, you nod, you perform the dance of connection. But inside, a voice whispers, "Why does this feel like a prison?" This is the paradox of human existence. We crave others, yet their presence can become our torment. We long to be known, yet their gaze turns us into frozen versions of ourselves. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Hell is other people." But what did he mean? Not literal fire and brimstone, but something far more insidious. The way others become mirrors, reflecting back not who we are, but who we're forced to be. Have you ever felt the exhaustion of wearing a mask so long it fuses to your skin? The terror of realizing you spent your life performing for an audience you never chose? What if the greatest threat to your freedom isn't chains or walls, but the silent, invisible judgments of those around you? This is the great question. What happens when the very thing we need, connection, becomes the thing that poisons us? The answer lies not in solitude, but in something far darker, far deeper. And to uncover it, we must first descend into the labyrinth of the human gaze. The torment of being seen is not an accident. It is the inevitable consequence of consciousness itself. We are the only creatures who know that we know, who watch ourselves being watched. And in that split between the self and the perceived self, hell opens its jaws. Sartre's famous line, "Hell is other people," emerges from his play No Exit, where three damned souls find themselves trapped in a room for eternity, each one's gaze becoming the torturer of the others. There is no physical torment, no infernal machinery, only the unbearable weight of being perceived, judged, and defined. One character finally gasps. Each of us is the executioner of the others. But why does this happen? Why does the mere presence of another person twist us into knots of self-doubt and performance? The mirror of the other. We are not born with a fixed self. Our identity is shaped in the reflection of others. As infants, we first recognize ourselves through our parents' eyes. As adults, we continue this dance, molding ourselves to fit expectations, fears, and desires not our own. The philosopher Jacques Lacan called this the mirror stage, the moment we internalize an external image of who we are supposed to be. And once that image is implanted, we spend our lives either chasing it or fleeing from it. The curse of objectification. When another person looks at you, they do not see you. They see a projection, a character in their own mental narrative. You become the coworker, the lover, the disappointment, the rival. Sartre called this the look, the moment you realize you have been turned into an object in someone else's world. Your freedom collapses under their assumptions. Your choices shrink beneath their expectations. The existential trap. This is the cruel joke of human existence. We need others to confirm our reality, yet their confirmation distorts it. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this when he wrote, "In the end, one loves one's desire and not what is desired." We do not seek love. We seek the relief of being wanted. We do not crave truth. We crave the safety of being agreed with. And so, we become trapped in a hall of mirrors, each reflection further from the original. But the deepest horror is yet to come, because this is not just a personal agony. It is the silent engine of society itself. The real terror is not that we lose ourselves in the gaze of others. It's that we don't even notice it happening. Like a slow-acting poison, this distortion of self seeps into every interaction, every relationship, every silent moment of hesitation before we speak. We adjust our laughter to match the room. We bite back truths that might unsettle. We contort ourselves into shapes that will be met with approval, not because we choose to, but because the alternative, being truly seen, feels like standing naked before a firing squad. The manufactured self-modern society runs on this very principle. Social media did not invent performance. It simply weaponized it. Every like, every comment, every share is a tiny verdict, reinforcing the version of you that others find palatable. The psychologist Carl Jung warned of the persona, the mask we wear to navigate the world. But what happens when the mask grows into the flesh? When you no longer remember what your face looked like beneath it? The cycle of mutual imprisonment. Here's the cruel twist. Just as you are trapped in the perceptions of others, they are trapped in yours. You reduce them to roles: the boss, the parent, the rival, the lover, and in doing so, you become their jailer as well. Sartre called this the double bind of recognition. We demand to be seen as free, yet we refuse to grant that same freedom to others. The result? A world of people, perpetually performing for an audience that is also performing for them. A hall of mirrors with no exit, the silent war of everyday life. Watch closely, and you'll see the symptoms everywhere. The way laughter dies. The moment someone unexpected enters the room. The exhaustion of social gatherings, not from noise, but from the sheer labor of self-monitoring. The relief of solitude, not because we hate others, but because we hate the versions of ourselves they summon. This is the true cost of hell as other people. Not hatred, not misanthropy, but the quiet erosion of the self in the name of belonging. And yet, there is a way out, not by fleeing humanity, but by confronting the very mechanism of our captivity. The escape begins with a single, blasphemous realization. You are not required to believe the reflections. The mirror can lie. The gaze can be defied. The performance must be disrupted. But how? Not through withdrawal, not through some hermit's renunciation of society, but through something far more radical, the reclamation of your own perception. The death of the performative self. Sartre's solution was radical authenticity, what he called bad faith, the refusal to let others define you. This is not mere rebellion. It is existential revolt. When you catch yourself altering your laugh for an audience, stop mid-breath. When you feel the old mask settling onto your face, peel it off in full view. Make them witness the unmade bed of your unfiltered thoughts. Yes, it will unsettle. Yes, it may cost you affection. But what you lose in comfort, you gain in territory, inch by inch, the reclaimed ground of your ungoverned self, the art of unobjectifying. The second act of rebellion. See others as they are, not as functions. Your boss is not just the boss. They are a trembling collection of fears and hunger, just like you. Your lover is not just the lover. They are a universe of contradictions you will never fully map. When you stop reducing people to roles, you rob their gaze of its power to reduce you. Nietzsche called this perspectivism, the refusal to mistake any single interpretation for the whole truth. The cultivation of unwatched moments. Find the cracks in the day where no audience exists. The walk taken without posting about it. The book read without an opinion prepared for future discussion. The meal eaten not for the photo, but for the sheer, unrecorded pleasure of taste. These are acts of quiet insurrection. The more you expand these territories of the unwatched life, the more you dilute the power of the gaze. This is not freedom from others. It is freedom among them, a way to stand in the crowded room and feel not the weight of eyes upon you, but the solid ground beneath your feet. The final revelation, however, is even more profound. The paradox. At the heart of Sartre's hell is this: other people are only hell if you've handed them the keys to yourself. The true prison isn't their gaze, it's your belief that their gaze defines you. The most subversive truth of all. You are the one who taught them how to torture you. The illusion of the fixed self. We suffer because we assume there's a real version of ourselves buried beneath the performance, some uncorrupted essence waiting to be uncovered. But Sartre's darker, more liberating insight is this: there is no fixed self to betray. You are not a statue being chipped away by external judgment. You are a verb, an ongoing act of creation. Every moment is a choice between autonomy and surrender, the alchemy of the gaze. Here's the transformation. The same gaze that feels like judgment can become the crucible of your freedom. When you stop fearing what others see, their perception loses its power to distort. A stranger's disapproval becomes mere data. A lover's expectation becomes their problem, not your script. This is what Michel Foucault meant by the care of the self. Not narcissism, but the disciplined refusal to let your identity be colonized. The ecstasy of responsibility. The final dizzying freedom is this: if hell is other people, then heaven is other people on your terms. To love without needing to be loved in return. To speak without needing to be understood. To exist in the presence of others as a wildfire exists, not asking permission to burn. You will still feel the old pull, of course. The mass will always whisper. But now you know. The door of the cage was never locked. It only seemed so because you'd never leaned your full weight against it. Walk through. The air outside is colder, clearer, and entirely your own. And yet, even now as these words settle, a quiet resistance stirs. Is it really this simple? The mind, so accustomed to its chains, hesitates before the open door. The truth is, freedom is not a single revelation, but a daily revolt. Every conversation will test it. Every relationship will probe for weak spots in your resolve. This is the work of a lifetime. Not to destroy the mirrors, but to walk past them, unflinching, unedited, alive.